What really happened to me on my vacation? Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, I am back home. I feel like I have two homes because, well, we kept our home on Tybee Island, a little tiny beach house. And we've kept that house there all these years from when our kids were still babies, and we lived there full time, and we used to pull them in the wagon on the beach. And so we have wonderful memories. So we go back periodically. And so about a week ago, my husband and my two sons left beforehand. My daughter stayed here, and I was going to follow down a little bit later. Now, my daughter had to work up here, and my two sons took off of work. And so I was kind of up here first and then down there. Well, about a night before I got ready to leave, I started having a toothache. Well, I take meticulous care of my teeth. I have perfect teeth. I've taken wonderful care of them. I have crowns, and I used to have veneers, some veneers, but now I have all crowns basically. Well, not all crowns, but on some of my teeth I have crowns, especially in the back. And they were well done, and they were great, and never really had any real significant issues with them up until now. And so I thought, this feels kind of funny, but, I'm not going to pay a lot of attention to it. It was suggested to me beforehand that maybe, just maybe in the future, I might need a root canal, because sometimes what happens is a crown will press on a nerve on that tooth. And obviously, when that crown was put on, somehow it had either moved or shifted, and it was pressing on a nerve. So I would notice it now and then, but it wasn't anything significant or stood out. I went to the dentist about it, and I chose to wait a while rather than have a root canal, because we weren't really sure or certain it was a root canal issue. Maybe it was just, whatever. And so I personally decided not to go for a root canal or anything else at the time, and just kind of watch it. Had no cavities because, well, I don't have any cavities, and I take wonderful care of my teeth. And so, anyhow, so I decided to go, and I left, and I drove the 6 hours to Tybee Island. And, I love going there. I have a wonderful friend, a dear friend who's in her 90s, who I consider her the children's grandmother and my second mother, since my husband's parents have passed and my parents have passed. And so she's been really, really wonderful in our lives. But she's also been such like a second mother to me. She made me lots of soup while I was there, and she still drives, and she still is very, very independent. But during that time, my tooth was hurting, and it began to hurt more and more and more, to the point that no matter whether I took ibuprofen, Tylenol, or anything else, it would not help. And I became miserable. I really couldn't enjoy all the fun stuff that we did. I did a lot of the fun stuff while there and tried to participate, but the throbbing in my tooth was bothering me so much. So I called a dentist there, and they really couldn't see me, or they could see me, but they couldn't do anything for me. And so, Tybee Island is small. There's not a whole lot there. And so I decided to, on a Saturday morning, to come back home. Now, I had driven separately from the rest of my family, and it's about a 6-hour drive. And so I started driving because I was in so much discomfort. I couldn't sleep, and I thought, well, at least I'm home. And then I thought, you know what? I had looked online, and there was a 7-day-a-week dentist in another town about an hour away from here, that my husband and I originally got married in that town. So I know a little bit about that town, although it has grown tremendously. And we live in a small town, and all the dentists are closed on the weekend, as far as I know. There's no dentist, and I was really hurting, and I felt like I was getting an infection in that tooth, or in somewhere. And I was feeling really miserable. My whole body felt like it was throbbing, and I knew that wasn't a good sign. So I called that office, and they said, yes, we're open till 5. And so I drove in. And I have to tell you, it was like a factory. First of all, the town is very chaotic. And so the driving there and not feeling good was challenging. But I parked my truck, I got out, my suitcases and everything were still in there, locked it up, and went in. And overall, I had to wait about 3 hours of wait, which seemed like an eternity when your tooth is thumping. And it's more like a factory there, move them in, move them out. But I am so, so grateful for that dental office that stays open all weekend long, because I don't know what I would have done had they not. Long story short, I didn't think a root canal was in the best interest at that point, because by then I had an infection from it. And so I had to start antibiotics, and having a root canal alone may not fix that, and the problem may not go away, and it may have gotten worse, and I was already in bad shape. And so I decided, I told him, I said, go ahead and take it out. It was way in the back of my mouth, so it wasn't noticeable, and I still have a lot of my other teeth, and so I didn't really need it to chew on or anything like that. And so he did. Now, years ago, I had a wisdom tooth taken out that never needed to be taken out, but the doctor suggested it because my insurance was, he thought the insurance would pay for it, so go ahead and get it taken out. And he had broken that off. And then I had to go to an oral surgeon that day and have surgery to take it out. So I was kind of hesitant about having this big molar taken out from my mouth. And I'd even mentioned that to the dentist, so that made me nervous in itself. And then I'd been taking one of the over-the-counter pain meds to help me that had a lot of aspirin in it. And so that thins the blood, so I was worried about maybe bleeding, after. Nonetheless, I said, go ahead and take it out. He probably had that tooth out within 3 or 4 minutes or less. And I was amazed at how fast it came out. And they stuffed my mouth full of gauze, and I was out of there within like 3 minutes. I mean, I was like, well, do I just leave? And they said, yeah, you're done. I mean, literally, probably 3 minutes, I was out the door with a mouth full of gauze and driving home an hour, because we live an hour from that town. So I had driven 6 hours to get to that town and then an hour home. And by the time I got home, I was so grateful, so grateful, so grateful. Started the antibiotics. They gave me something for pain. And here I am today. I actually got out and did my 5-mile run today, even though I'm still feeling a little, not at the top of my game today, but I'm feeling much, much better. Thank the Lord, I do not hurt. Oh my goodness, that hurting was just terrible, just terrible. And I have great compassion for anyone that has pain of any kind. Because now once you put that Novocaine in, I had no pain. And I thought, this is what life is supposed to feel like. No pain. How do people deal with it that live with pain, chronic pain? It must be terrible. No one should have to live with pain. So I was so grateful once he put that Novocaine in and the pain was gone. And then it gave me something for pain when I got home. And so the thing about it, that was my journey. That was my trip. That was my vacation, And although we go back there quite often, and so, and we've had many, many wonderful vacations there. So I don't feel deprived in any way. It was just that I wish, that had not happened. The lesson I learned is, if you think that there's something wrong, make sure you get it checked out before you go on vacation. And I didn't do that. I went on vacation anyhow. And I ended up getting really bad over a weekend, which made things even more difficult. If you can find yourself and know of a dentist that works weekends, write their number down, because sometimes dental issues are unpredictable and they come at an inconvenient time, as they did with me. So I'm grateful to be back home. I love beautiful little Tybee Island, Georgia. And it's a real island, beautiful. It's 2 miles long, oceanfront. It's just beautiful. But I'm glad to be home. I'm so glad to be home. So that was my story of my vacation. From my house to yours, may God bless you. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.